Morning, everybody. Welcome to AWS reInvent 2023. This is Chandra, and I am a GSI leader at the AWS APO organization. And I'm here with Prabhakar Appana, the SVP of AWS Business Unit at HCL, and Shreya, a senior go-to-market specialist of CodeWhisperer. Super exciting to have a conversation with both of them on enhancing developer productivity using some of the greatest innovation that AWS is bringing to the market.
Pleasure to be here, Chandra and Shreya.
I'm super excited. I know HCL has made a big commitment with AWS. Super excited to talk about the collaboration.
Yeah. So before we start, I want to say, Prabhakar, thank you for being a gold sponsor for AWS and bring a huge number of customers and your colleagues here to meet all of our AWS colleagues, as well as explain the innovation that we are delivering through the reInvent as well. So thank you, firstly. So moving on to the point of discussion today, right? Like, what's your perspective on how the developer tools are enhancing software development process itself, or the efficiency of software development process? What's your perspective?
See, from an HCL Tech perspective, we work with all the industry groups across the portfolio globally. So the developer tools from a developing community, software engineering aspect, this forms the fundamental core platform in terms of looking at all the aspects of the development that we do with the client organizations. So it's one of the key fundamental aspect from a development of code perspective. And how do we do it and where do we use it? What kind of tools that we build is essentially very important for every client, every industry that we work. Majority of our workforce is based out of India, and they are spread across 54 countries. So it becomes very important how efficient our the actual workforce is in bringing those enhancements and tools for the client advantage is the core. Okay, so we focus on actually looking at various dimensions and various aspects of the developer productivity, be it right from doing things in the coding aspect stage, be it design, be it build, test, and to the end-to-end testing as well. So every aspect has got the tooling and as well as the services that we use from AWS perspective to make it much more compelling. Traditionally, what happens is when the sales community goes to the client organizations and positions and differentiates HCL Tech, there is a large amount of developer productivity is considered. For example, when you're competing in competing situations, you need to understand what efficiency that you internally have so that you can make those commitments to the client. So those aspects is really a kickstart. And the fundamental of that is the developer productivity, right? So we use various tools. IDE is another important aspect. We have homegrown tools, and we have tools that we have, enabled them using AWS. So from a cloud adoption perspective, and there are software engineering specific tools. We work with engineering clients heavily. And there are tools which are with respect to the financial services and the industry groups. So various dimensions we look at in terms of what will work for the client and what doesn't, and how that tool is going to actually enhance our own productivity internally. So it's something which is fundamental to the way we work from an HCL Tech perspective.
So HCL had a long history of engineering, right? Like you are one of the first companies that brought computers to India. So a long history of engineering excellence. Shiv Nadir, your founder, has been one of the forefathers of computer revolution, IT revolution in India. So, but as the software industry evolved, right? And do you see that there is an impact of how you deliver to the cloud world in terms of cloud native development compared to traditional on-prem development, application development? Do you see there is any difference, and is there a way that your own tools, your own platforms have evolved as you moved on to the cloud journey along with your customers?
Absolutely. From an HCL Tech, as you highlighted, engineering has been the differentiating factor. So we do work with several marquee clients from an engineering perspective, and that really differentiates HCL Tech from any other GSI that we currently, in the market, right? So that has been the fundamental, differentiation which ShareTech carries. So how these engineering aspects help clients accelerate their cloud journey is an important element that we can, want to spend a couple of minutes on that. If you look at manufacturing sector, we work with hardcore manufacturing industries, and we bring, homegrown specific tools to differentiate. The beauty now is with AWS partnership and the work that we are doing on the ground. For example, let me quote one PLM cloud, right? So it's a heavy data intense aspect. So especially in the COVID times, the people were not able to walk into the manufacturing plants and look at and work from their desktops. So how do you make that data intensive, available on the cloud? So what kind of solution that we need to look at? So that's where the beauty of the cloud adoption comes in. So we have this homegrown tool. How can we make it much more cloud enabled so that the acceleration to the cloud happens and the people can access anywhere from any location, in terms of their systems. And if you look at from an application point of view, acceleration. So we have something called as an advantage code, which you and your team was also aware, Chandra. So we looked at advantage code, and we also looked at the new dimensions of services which is offered by AWS from a generative AI perspective. So we are enhancing all our tools. That's a beautiful tool which actually helps client accelerate their application journey much faster, from a cloud adoption perspective. So how can I use some of the AWS services, for example, AWS CodeWhisperer and AWS Bedrock and the underlying fabric of Anthropic, and overlay on the advantage code so that for clients it becomes one single platform or a tool which accelerates their journey. So we look at all those dimensions and build those horizontals, and the vertical solutions, which actually is a great differentiating aspect. And thanks to AWS as well, because they keep releasing those new services into the market, and it helps GSI for us to look at, explore, and integrate that for a faster pace of
By the way,
adoption.
we have a ton of new announcements today on generative AI. If you haven't seen Swami's keynote, you should definitely check it out.
No.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just want to touch upon the Advantage Cloud platform that you built, right? Like that is obviously an IDE that uses Amazon Bedrock with underlying cloud model to drive faster code development. But beyond, Shreya is here. She wears CodeWhisperer on her heart and carries the flag of CodeWhisperer. But CodeWhisperer, and firstly, thank you for the investment in the CodeWhisperer as well, in terms of committing to train more than 50,000 developers. That's a huge commitment, so thank you for that. So how do you see like CodeWhisperer actually helping beyond Advantage Cloud? Is that have you started using it in your client projects, or are you using it to build your own developer capability? What's your perspective? Maybe Shreya, you can share like what you are seeing in the market as well.
Yeah, actually, first, yes, reinforcing the thanks, for that massive commitment. And you talked a lot about developer productivity and how basically developer productivity is at like the forefront of any project commitment for big GSIs, because I understand that the better your developers are, more efficient your developers are, the better your time to market, and that helps with your compete situations. So we are seeing a trend of our partners, our big GSIs picking up on. So there's this sense of internal use of the service for their developers, but also building applications for customers. And I know HCL's advantage is like, sort of like this unified experience. So do you want to share how CodeWhisperer would help you elevate sort of that experience with advantage?
Absolutely. So if you look at to your point, Chandra, I think it's a great collaboration that we are able to do it, because the reason why we also did it is to multi-dimensionals.
Yeah.
Number one, we looked at what is available in the market, right? And the generative AI has been the talk of the town.
Yes.
So, and from a client perspective, we are seeing a lot of questions coming to us saying that, okay, what is HCL Tech doing? Because you are a long-term partner for us. So how are you innovating my own landscapes? So what are you doing in terms of upskilling your team? What are you doing in terms of bringing new, cases of how generative AI can be adopted in my own industry? So all these aspects we looked at and we said, okay, we have to do something very different and unique here. And we have a great partnership with AWS. And then that's why we said we will, empower 50,000 of our resources, developers and engineers, to train and be enabled and ready, with AWS CodeWhisperer and the, Bedrock technologies. And thanks to that, to you, Chandra, and the team as well, right? So that's fundamentally very important. The reason why, how that gets help in the market and as well as within our HCL Tech is multidimensional. Number one, we are upskilling our people, okay? Yeah. And these are the people who work with various Fortune 500 clients. Yeah. So they bring the right context of generative AI to the client, yes. Right? Number two, we have to identify, we understand the client business, so we are better positioned to actually build use cases, okay? And how fast can you build these use cases? Coming back to your question, okay, time to market is very important. Yes. So how quickly? That's where the AWS CodeWhisperer comes. Yeah. So CodeWhisperer helps us actually, fast track things, helps in actually prompt engineering in terms of the developer using it efficiently and building his own code snippets, which could be an accelerated incubation for solutions and industries across the board. So these are fundamentally very unique aspects, which is from an HCL Tech perspective. And a third different dimension is also on go-to-market. Yes. Right? Today, the clients want those use cases and solutions where their business can differentiate. Correct. Right? That's where, something AWS CodeWhisperer and with the combination of AWS Bedrock and Anthropic, really a key weapon for us to actually build those use cases for that industry and take it to market. So in terms of adoption, we are adopting that across the portfolio. We have made a big commitment on the financial services in terms of using CodeWhisperer in our existing account. Some of the new deals that we signed with the clients, how can we actually accelerate those conversations and also help the client team train and enabled. So that's really working out. Okay. And we are looking at the manufacturing dimensions, insurance dimensions as well for the quicker adoption. So long way to go. And with the new services coming in, we need to understand also how this new services is going to enhance. So that's the quick picture for you from an HCL Tech perspective.
I'm going to also touch base to what Chandra mentioned earlier and you mentioned, right? So we talked about this unified experience, and that is also given the announcements that were done at the keynotes. So Amazon Q is our unified experience of like so many different services that are within Amazon Q, right? You have Amazon Q for business, you have Amazon Q for CodeWhisperer. So I'm sure you heard.
Test case generation as well.
Yes.
Even test case generation.
Test case generation, exactly.
Pretty comprehensive.
So it's that unified one experience for developers, right? And it's a unique case where we are launching things for the developers, which hasn't traditionally been always the cases, right? We launch new applications and products in the market, but this is really focused on developers. So given that, and you mentioned Advantage, HCL's Advantage Cloud, right? Using Bedrock and CodeWhisperer. How do you feel? I know we just announced it, but how do you feel about the use of this portfolio? How does HCL and AWS benefit together in collaborating on this portfolio?
I'll give a cue. I think what is happening is there is a lot of generative AI kind of customers want to understand about it, but also you talked about it, right? How do you manifest all these generative AI capabilities to something that is tangible for me as a customer, to my line of business? What's the value that I'm going to generate? And I think that will only happen if your developers are happy, right? And they're able to think and they're able to move fast, remove the undifferentiated heavy lifting or make it more customized for HCL way of developing. You have your own unique way of developing code and delivering value to the customer So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think this is how I think we will manifest in partnership
In
with
partnership,
you.
yes.
I mean, see, one thing is really surprising for me, honestly, right? So when Adam made that announcement on Amazon Q, I was like, wow, right? Because, look at the pace at which the innovation is driving.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about the adoption of CodeWhisperer and Bedrock and coming something like groundbreaking differentiation with Amazon
Yes.
Q is really, really, amazing, right?
Yeah.
Especially, so I give full credit to AWS and your wider team on coming up with something like that.
Thank you.
I mean, whatever I've seen, in the presentation, in the keynotes, it's just amazing. The
It's been very
dimensions at
fast.
which
Yes.
it can actually explore from a business, from an enterprise, from a developer productivity perspective is just unimaginable.
Yes.
We still need to get into the details of what it is and how can
Yes.
it help. But whatever we have seen is that's really going to differentiate with the other hyperscalers as well,
Yeah.
right? So, every hyperscaler has got their differentiation. I think Amazon Q is going to be the mojo of AWS in terms of that clear differentiation. That's something which I see. In terms of your question to how does that help internally for us and for our clients? So there are, say we are a services company.
Right.
We are into servicing to the clients.
Yeah.
We also need to look at from that dimension in terms of how the market towards the services segment for the client is going to work with the newer enhancements and the new cases is very important. And the underlying conversation for all these things is the data,
Yes.
right? So you need to have the right data, lake data engineering elements to make sure something like Amazon Q works and delivers better results.
Right.
So how enterprises adopt this and how they define the data fabric to actually feed into this is very, very important.
Yeah.
Right? So there are, we can get into the various longer conversations in terms of there are regulations with respect to North America and Europe and Asia Pacific regions. The banking works in a different way. There is a federal, there is a European laws, EU laws. So we need to look at all these dimensions. But from whatever I've seen, and if we get this data fabric thing right, I think we are at a big turning point.
Good opportunity for the go-to-market aspect that
Yeah.
you said your customers are looking forward to from companies like HCL.
Absolutely. And the beauty is the integration aspects. What I really liked is, how this entire using the prompt on Amazon Q would integrate with the backend systems, be it, EC2, S3 buckets, and as well as your Amazon Connect from a contact center perspective, and AWS Bedrocks, and bringing it together like a single pane of gas is something really differentiating.
It's all integrated, right?
Yeah.
And like what you talked about, like data, you need to get data there to kind of actually use generative AI. So zero ETL announcement that Swami made makes the data to be moving very, very fast into the places where you want to run the models. But we covered a lot. So on behalf of both Shreya and I, thank you once again for the partnership. We were super excited to announce a lot of innovation today. But for us to take all these innovations and make it real for the customers in a way that they can appreciate and experience it is only possible by fantastic partners like you. So you're going to be super important in our journey to deliver this innovation to our customers. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
For your partnership.
Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you,
look
Shreya.
forward to the collaboration and doing a lot of joint work in the coming months. So thank you for your
Thank you.
participation. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.